Jesy Nelson's critics pretend to want social justice, but they're Twitter bullies. No, those are not my words. Those are the words of Emma Madden from The Telegraph, which is an article that one of you guys sent me. And I was like, this sounds like it's going to be interesting just from the title. So before I even get into it, reading it for myself, I thought I would read through it and give my live reaction or whatever, or kind of initial thoughts from reading what's been written here, because this is something we've been talking about. We've been talking about Jesy Nelson, we've been talking about the blackfishing, we've been talking about cultural appropriation, Little Mix, the entertainment industry, and all these things. And it's nice to actually hear somebody who's not just instantly taking the opposite side, saying that Jesy Nelson being horrible about her and stuff. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. I'm going to read through. I will put it in the description box. If I don't, somebody else please drop it in the comments, or I'll drop it in the comments. But yeah, let's get into it and let's read through. So I'll read out loud and I will comment as we go. It starts off, the singer may be making a faux pas, but critics ranting from their bedrooms aren't improving the situation. They're little more than trolls. That's interesting. Kind of something I've said, about ranting from their bedrooms. People that are unseen, that no one can comment on how you look, or if you're blackfishing, or if you're doing anything, having a lot to say, and kind of acknowledging that Jesy might have made a little mistake there. Then it says, fan culture is a pendulum. It swings between extremes. True, I would agree with that. One moment you're the hero of the day, then 1 minute you're the hero of the day, the next day you're the villain. And lately, no one seems to have experienced the whiplash more than Jesy Nelson, formerly of Little Mix. Now, this article came out in December 2021, so that's pretty impressive. Like, that wasn't too long ago. Anyway, where was I? This time last year, with the release of her award-winning BBC documentary, Jesy Nelson, Odd One Out, which many of us have seen, a film about the desolating effect that social media and online fan culture had on her sense of well-being. Nelson was lavished with praise and heralded for her vulnerability and candor, i.e. they're basically saying, that a lot of people praised her for opening up about it. I'm sure a lot of that was from the baddie community, of course. Then it says, but today Nelson finds herself one of the most mocked and targeted people on the internet. I'm so glad somebody else is acknowledging that this is really, really happening. What had promised to be an exciting solo career launch has since become one of the greatest car crashes in recent pop history, which I have feelings about this anyway, because none of this needed to happen the way it happened. I've said it so many times. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the other videos in my Jesy Nelson playlist. All right, let's continue. Nelson isn't blameless. Since the October launch of her first single, Boys, a dud of a song and a cheap pastiche of black music and culture. Don't like that. Don't like that part at all. First of all, I think it's distasteful as a media personality to overly put your opinion on music. I've talked about many different people on my channel, a lot of whom I don't like, but I don't attack their talent, because some people might be into that. Just because I'm not into that doesn't mean that person isn't talented. And so I don't like that there's a bit of a bias coming in here. I tend to leave my feelings out of it. The only time I mention anything is kind of if questioned or whatever. But even still, you'll only really find me saying people I do think are very talented. You won't really find me being like, and I don't think that person's talented, or I think that blah blah blah. Like, you wouldn't really find me, for the most part. There's probably some odd times where maybe I would, and probably there'd be a specific, unusual reason. But anyway, a dud of a song and a cheap pastiche of black music and culture, again, really annoys me. I think a lot of times when people are trying to, be advocates of, black culture and stuff, you kind of overdo it to the point where, you start to box black people in more box than we are, because I'm just a human being. Yes, there's certain traits, history, maybe culture, traditions that are different in different ways. And that's the other thing, they're different in different ways. I've given this example before, that what's historically normal for a black African versus a black, I think there's even black people in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. There's a whole black community there. There's black communities in lots of places. So and even the ones you've seen, even if it's a black person from Britain, is going to be different to a black person. A black British is going to be different to a black American. So I don't really like how we kind of box people in and say like, oh, well, the black culture, well, that's not representative of the black culture. The black culture was also very involved in jazz, in a whole bunch of different types of musics. You could argue, one could even say, and you want to go to maybe the African roots with a more tribal type music, well, that's pretty far from Boys by Jesy Nelson. So I kind of feel with stuff like that, I get what people mean, because there is the element that the signature, if you will, that a lot of this stuff in culture is considered black, you know, like the type of music, obviously the artists. But that's where I find it hard to say, because listen, I be hearing some, I in fact myself had a friend once, and she was white, and she had one of the most R&B sounding singing voices, and I was just like, that's amazing. Like, she sings so well, but like she's like, and people would potentially be like, oh, like they could accuse her of cultural appropriation, right? Or of her of a dud of a song and a cheap pastiche of black music and culture. She could kind of be meaning that with someone like her, because she's not black, but she sounds black, and maybe her voice sounds better with certain black music. And again, what even is black? Because a lot of times when we put people aside because we're assuming a particular particular consistencies or stereotypes in their culture, we're not really giving them the opportunity to see if they are actually receptive to other things, if they're into other things. You know, not everything is so black and white. So that's why I just find it a little bit like, didn't need to mention that. We were going well, we may still continue well, but just don't like that one bit there. But I'm going to continue anyway. Nelson has been on a seemingly ceaseless run of tasteless and insensitive missteps. Disagree. Because if what Jesy Nelson is doing is bad, then my goodness, there are people who are way more guilty than her. If I were to use the same logic that's being used to say for her to be insensitive, tasteless, cheap, and a dud of a song, a pastiche of black music and culture, there's got to be more to that. If we like, there has got to be more to that. Because yeah, anyway, that month, yeah, because I don't think she misstepped. Let's just put it like that. I don't think she misstepped. I think she did the best step ever. She took a big step in the direction of the type of music she wanted to go into. She worked with two people who are like very well known, Diddy being one of the very powerful people in the entertainment industry. So I don't know what people were really expecting here. And a lot of the people who come against her missteps and stuff themselves are not exactly doing things to help black people. Because that's what I want to say to a lot of these black celebrities who speak up against people like Jesy Nelson. And what are you doing in your organization for black people? Because half of you, a lot of you only started piping up about black people anyway because of BLM, because of George Floyd. A lot of you are not really living in line with what you're trying to preach out here. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like there's opportunity for many different people out there, you know, in different ways. And yes, certain things are attached more to one individual culture than another or whatever. But with Jesy Nelson, I'm just like, if she's guilty, then a lot more people are guilty as well. Like, she's not like, I'm not like, you know, protective of her as such, but I'm like, listen, if you're guilty, then there's other people are guilty. Like, they're guilty. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's just my opinion. That month, to promote the single release, she appeared on Instagram Live alongside the song's featured artist Nicki Minaj. Nelson laughed as Minaj began laying into Nelson's former Little Mix bandmates, accusing them of jealousy and clownery, and encouraging her own millions of fans to go after them online. That is a lie. Lie. That is a big lie. Oh my gosh, my days. You guys could tell what I was thinking about this sentence as I was reading it. First of all, this is what the media does sometimes. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about Emma at this point, the writer of this article, but we're going through it, right? Because I think a lot of the things she brings up is how people are actually feeling. So let's address it, right? Let's address it. Anyway, it's interesting how she's included so far. Maybe the other parts are to come, but she's been included. Firstly, being mentioned about her and her live with Nicki Minaj, and I've noticed that this is a gaslighting tactic that's happening towards Jesy. Because people don't even at least lay out the steps that happened. The fact that before that happened, Leanne was messaging influencers, yeah, to not make a dance video about Jesy, which they were asking should they, but instead to expose that she was blackfishing. And that also strengthened and awakened the wave of hate going towards Jesy Nelson. So when you put it like that, ignoring a fact like that is exactly how the media manipulates people, to be honest. And this is even a low level version of this. This is just the classic mention what makes somebody look bad and don't mention the things that actually make what happens somewhat understandable. Because whether you agree or not, whether you think Jesy Nelson was blackfishing or not, Leanne is the one who sparked it. And when Leanne did what she did, that's what actually sparked a lot of hate online, right? And a lot of people would speculate that Nicki Minaj was there to show support to Jesy because she was concerned and wanted to show her support as a black person, similar to me and the videos I made, for her based on what she was already experiencing as a result of what had happened with Leanne and so on and so forth. And therefore, yeah, they're going to be throwing back some attitude or whatever. Now, the lie that's in here, unless I've missed some details, the only way you can disagree with me with my next point is if you have receipts, because I have yet to see any. Because here, there is a lie about she's encouraging, what did she say? I want to read this verbatim. And encouraging her own millions of fans to go after them online. That's a lie. That's a complete, total, utter lie. Right? And so there's a whole bunch of things that could be happening here. It could be that this woman writing this is the story she's been told and she's just going with it. This could be people getting in their feelings. This is what I think. People getting in their feelings that Jesy and Nicki clapped back, right? That Nicki Minaj is really backing up Jesy and just continuing on, you know, the hate and wanting to see things as worse, and like in a way that's preferable to them. Like they want to feel like that they're being attacked online. They want to make it look like Jesy did something else bad. Like, let's ignore the other things, but let's make Jesy look bad. Like, that's why I actually agree. That's why it's funny that it says here, you know, accusing them of jealousy and clownery. Yeah, it does seem like jealousy and clownery. It does. And listen, let me tell you something. I will back anything that is in true, genuine support of the black people, right? If it's a real progressive thing for us as black people. This is not it. This is like black people coming after a girl who got, and others who just want to be, what you call them, allies and all this stuff, right? Running after somebody just because of the fact that they succeeded at what they're doing. Do you see what I mean? Like, that's where it comes from. And that's why it looks like hate, because there's no good reason. Like, y'all bringing more attention to Jesy than even anything else. Why is my girl trending on Twitter? Like, at the time of this video, I'm sure one of you guys will know. At the time you watch this video, let me know in the comments if the time you're watching this video, Jesy Nelson is trending on Twitter. Let me know. But let's continue. It was an act that betrayed Nelson's call 1 year before to stop online cruelty and made her BBC documentary appear in retrospect, navel-gazing and self-serving. What on earth is that? I ain't heard about no call, and you guys been sending me every little receipt detail to stop online cruelty. The only thing that I heard Jesy Nelson said that she was going to do potentially is stop tanning, or that's something to do with race. Where did online cruelty come into it? So they're almost trying to create this like fake reality where Jesy is acknowledged that she did this, which means if she's acknowledging that she did it, that she was being cruel online, that means she was cruel online, basically. So they're getting people to think. That's crazy. Then they've got like a quote of a tweet here, and it says, I think it's laughable how everyone commended Jesy Nelson for that documentary where she admitted she was close to suicide, yet she is currently the laughingstock of the music industry. What happened to the Be Kind movement? I'm so baffled. Hashtag Be Kind. Oh my gosh. Like, this is why, if you guys want to know why I'm slow to reply, it's this type of nonsense that makes me feel like I can't be on the internet today. Like, I cannot enter the internet today because this type of stuff, it's just so irritating to read. I'm going to read it again. Think it's laughable how everyone commended Jesy Nelson for that documentary where she admitted she was close to suicide. Yet she is currently the laughingstock of the music industry. What happened to the Be Kind movement? I'm so baffled. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to tell you why it makes no sense. Yet she is currently the laughingstock of the music industry. for starters, working with Diddy and Nicki Minaj, to me, does not sound like the laughingstock of the music industry. Okay? That does not sound like that sounds like the progressing in the music industry. Okay, there was only a couple of people who shut her down, for one. For two, if you're saying that she admitted she was close to suicide, but then you still are laughing at her online like a bully, right? You are actually actively understanding that you're talking against somebody who has acknowledged their issues with mental health, and you are going to add to that problem. This is why in society, when I believe I'm one of the actual few people out there, and I'll say it like this, when I say few, I don't mean just like 10 or something, but I mean like not the majority, who actually care about people's mental health. For real. Because I don't care what, if you care about mental health, right? What, are we going to say that, oh, this person's mental health matters because they agree with me? Is that where we're at? So, to be honest, that's probably where we are at in society today. Then she says, what happened to the Be Kind movement? I'm so baffled. It dies in screaming narcissistic energy. Like, how are you going to say be kind when you're calling her? It's laughable how everyone commended Jesy Nelson for the documentary where she admitted she was close to suicide, yet she's currently the laughingstock of the music industry. What happened to the Be Kind movement? I'm so baffled. Are you being kind right now? Because being kind would be to say, you know what, we've tried what we've needed to try, we've said what we need to say, I still feel that she was blackfishing or whatever, and she doesn't seem to want to change, and so respectfully, as we want to maintain being kind and sisterhood and all this stuff, then let's just leave it there, because we're not going to be unkind and be making messages like this online. That's just my opinion. Anyway, like, sorry, I'm like really getting into it. This year, I'm continuing. This year in particular, Nelson has been held to account by the public for blackfishing, a portmanteau coined on Twitter in 2018, which riffs on the term catfishing, refers to non-black people. Aha, let's hear this. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm having a sip, hold on. Now they're going to define for themselves what blackfishing is. This is going to be interesting. For those of you who've been around for all the videos I make, let's see what this article says. Let's see if we agree or disagree. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. So, it says, and refers to non-black people who use cosmetics to appear black or mixed race. Interesting. I think that is like one of those things where it kind of paints the picture, but it doesn't paint the full picture. And it's a very easily manipulatable phrase, because as I said to you guys before, there are people who are fully black, i.e. their parents are fully black, their grandparents are fully black, their great-grandparents are fully black, and who are super, super light-skinned to the point you might even think they're white. So there's already all these different skin tones in the world that I just find it really hard, unless we're seeing an extreme, like a serious extreme. I think we really throw around this blackfishing thing too much, because listen, there are so many different colors of people in the world at this point, in so many different cultures. I think this is a bit of a slippery slope if you ask me, but anyway. The accusation unfortunately became all too one on the nose earlier this week when Nelson appeared at Capital FM's Jingle Bell Ball. Oh my gosh, not this again. To perform Boys Live for the first time, wearing a market black jacket, her hair covering the market part at best. Oh my gosh, this is the picture, isn't it? People make such a big deal about this stuff. I don't care. Oh my days, guys. People have made such a big deal about this. Like, people were really upset about this jacket thing, because she didn't make sure that we saw the market. We only saw the black. And once again, Jesy Nelson is trying to be a black person. It's like, oh, people are stressing me out. Can you understand that you're stressing me out? Like, seriously. Come on now. Really? Really? Anyway, to me, this is one of those things where I'm like, if all the things going wrong in the world are as serious as everybody's making them out to be, how is Jesy Nelson's jacket and the fact she didn't move her hair what we're really out here spending our good God-given energy on? I'll let somebody make it make sense, because the math ain't mathin', okay? Anyway, wearing a market black jacket, her hair covering the market part. At best, an unfortunate wardrobe malfunction that should have been noticed by her team. You see what I mean? Everything in the entertainment industry is so nitpicky. They're trying to sell you the perfect thing that you want to see. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to make everything so that's why it's not real life. It's not real life. Why they think her team should have noticed? Why? Why should her team have noticed? Like, this is, I don't know. If we're that sensitive in society, the problem is with society, not with the fact that their team didn't notice. Anyway, the accusation, no. Nelson inspired a slew of online hatred and mockery, ranging from light-hearted memes to death threats. There we go. So she's getting death threats. We've gone from, oh yeah, she talked about the suicide and blah, 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 look what she's doing. And now she's receiving death threats, and we're not seeing that as an issue in a society that so-called promotes mental health awareness. All right, then. We're just gonna put a pin in that one for now. It's reasonable that anyone in the public sphere who promotes insensitive and marginalizing ideals, that seems like everybody just living their life. Like there's like 10, I feel like we've got 10 commandments of society now, of like things that you can and cannot be in support of in certain ways, and if you're not, then you're just wrong, and it doesn't matter that you have mental health, it doesn't matter that you're a human being, it doesn't matter that you have your own rights. But anyway, insensitive and marginalizing ideals, even unwittingly, should be called up on it. Okay, so they're saying that this person is saying that if she's doing this insensitive and marginalizing ideals, if she's promoting them, then they should be called up on it if she's in the public sphere, which I don't like this whole justification where people say like, well, you're in the public sphere. It's like, yeah, because people wanted to support you. People who are famous are only famous because we support them. So when people say, oh, but you chose to be in the spotlight, yeah, but you put them in the spotlight. The only reason anybody's having sold out ticket shows at their tour is because people are buying tickets and showing up. They're not buying all the tickets for themselves, and the concert hall is empty. It's packed out because you're buying tickets to be there. So I don't like how we use the fact that people are famous or have a platform to kind of be like, well, almost like you're not a human, right? And yes, we do call, don't get me wrong, we do call people up on stuff. There's a difference, and that's why I said, if the people speaking up who really felt that this was blackfishing, if all they were doing was speaking up on that, then fine. But I would say to do that in normal life anyway, which is why I say celebrities and normal people, there's not a difference there, right? I get that if me as somebody, if I was to be like in one of those positions, obviously I would take it seriously that people are potentially influenced by what I say and what I do. And so for me personally, that's something I would take seriously. But you can't really force people to do that if you've put them in a particular place. So I just find that interesting that we kind of in society today, in Western society, like to excuse ourselves for putting famous people up to these levels, to these standards that, if we're being honest, you probably don't even reach yourself, right? If you're being really real with yourself, all because they're big now, but it's like they're only big because the people made them big. You know what I mean? Anyway. But it's the public's responsibility to reprimand, and if so, how can we do that in a way that doesn't involve cruelty? Why is that even a question? Because they're saying we should reprimand her. Is that our duty to do that? And how do we do that in a way that doesn't involve cruelty? Just stick to the facts. Stick to the facts, right? If you're pulling somebody up, I don't get why in society we can't separate. This is like childish thinking. This is how children think. Like if somebody does something wrong or you disagree with somebody, the only way to react, or one of the ways to react, is just to be horrible. Like, where is the part where we have a conversation? Even if you have a liar, right? I always say this to people, especially if I've ever got into a disagreement with somebody myself. I'll say this to them, and they'll say to me like, oh, you're stupid. I'm like, okay, what information did you give me to help me understand the problem that you have with me? What information did you give me that's going to help me to potentially change something you're clearly so upset about? Nothing. There should be no need for cruelty. Why does it have to involve cruelty? It absolutely does not. It doesn't involve cruelty to tell somebody you lied and you did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's not cruelty. That's what somebody did. Making memes and laughing at people and being horrible and telling people, sending death threats, that's cruelty. That doesn't solve anything. You telling Jesy Nelson that she should unalive herself, which God forbid in the name of Jesus, right? You people saying stuff like that, you're not told her the problem. You're not explaining anything. And that's why I don't believe a lot of this online hate is actually about solving the problem. Because if it was, I don't know, maybe just that little of society is really mature enough to handle those types of adult conversations. But it just seems to me like if she's really done something, call her out for that thing. Because that's how I am. I'm like, I want people to call me out, and I call people out about the thing, not to disrespectfully, in a normal conversation. And guess what? If I feel that they're still doing something they don't want to change, I just leave them alone. Because why am I going to now be horrible? How am I adding? What was the necessity for cruelty? No, cruelty is only involved when I probably got some other emotional motives, wrongful motives that probably I'm trying to ignore, but that are obviously very clear. That's how I feel. I don't understand why cruelty has to be a thing. I hope this isn't too long because I'm really talking for the whole world. Okay, we're nearly at the end. Light-hearted memes are to some extent fine. Laughter is a powerful tool for policing bad behavior without necessarily having the more insidious goal of harming its objects. Okay, I kind of agree with that. But at the other end of the spectrum, the earnest hatred, the death threats, the real and terrifying desire to bring someone down, how can an artist truly be held to an account in that kind of environment? Absolutely, they can't be held to an account because people are just looking for any little thing to tear you down. Right? It seems that fan culture has a disingenuously punitive impulse. One common tactic amongst fans is to weaponize social justice issues, absolutely, in order to tear celebrities and public figures down. Write a negative article about an artist, for instance, and their fans will desperately scan your Twitter history for any racist, sexist, ableist, or otherwise problematic remarks. Fan culture gamifies did I say gamifies? Sorry, the font is so small. Fan culture gamifies morality, and this part of its fabric is especially crooked when you consider that most fans are young people, yet to figure out their own morals, ideals, and ways of relating to the world. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. That's especially interesting, and it kind of goes back to what I say, because I actually feel myself that there are a lot of young people, and I'll say this, guys, because I've experienced it myself. I want to be very humble with you guys and honest, and when I say this, I've recognized that when you are younger, right, you can see and be victim to thinking things in ways because of society that fundamentally years later you will disagree with. The problem is, and this is why you're supposed to have parents and adults and people who give you wisdom and who help you along the way, right? It says that, you know, people say it takes a village to raise a child. I believe that. But without that, you could find yourself having some very problematic ideals. That's why so many people get to like their 20s and 30s, 40s, and they start deprogramming. You know, they're like, oh, I have to like find myself again because I'm realizing that so much of what I used to believe in was just nonsense and stuff like that. But the fact is, along the way, you're participating in the culture. That's not helpful, you know? And so, yeah, I kind of agree with this about how people will just be looking for something to, like, a lot of younger people don't have the life experience. When I say life experience, I mean at least just living outside. Listen, I'm a young myself. I ain't gonna tell y'all how old I is, but let's just say, you know, I'm an adult. Let's put it like that. And I do look like a baby though. I look younger than I actually am, which is great. You know, black don't crack. And when you work with the Lord, you stay looking young. Anyway, yeah, but there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn as you get older. But there are consequences to the actions that you have. And I don't say that to overwhelm anybody, but this is why you're supposed to have people around you. But obviously we're in the society where we want to let children run everything, and we want to let children make the decisions around everything. And this is kind of where we're at now. A lot of these probably young people, even children, sending hate online. Their parents don't even understand how to use an iPhone because they never bothered to try it. And their child's out here sending hate, or is telling another person to take their own life, or them themselves is wanting to take their own life because of online bullies. The internet's can be a very ugly place, and there's even uglier things I've seen online. That I just think it's because I do believe a lot of these channels are young people, because I've seen even some of the people who come for me. I'm like, listen, I do teaching. You could be in one of my classes. Like, come on now. Come on. You know what I mean? Like. Anyway, let me tutor you in some maths or something and just calm down. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, final paragraph. Instead, fan culture treats morality as mere power play. Absolutely. It cheapens the real concerns involved in issues such as blackfishing to the point where it's hard to discern who's acting in good faith, who's truly attempting to hold someone to account and allow them to learn from it, and who just wants to ruin someone's life and career. Unfortunately, Jesy Nelson has been more at the mercy of the latter. And this is where the article ends. This is where the article ends. I think that's interesting that this person has still opted to not really. They clearly believe the popular narrative about Jesy Nelson, you know, her culture appropriating or blackfishing to some extent, but they're also acknowledging, Emma that is, that there is a lot that plays into the situation with Jesy Nelson, and that a lot of these people trying to be social justice people online are really just bullies. And that's what I find to be the funniest and the most interesting. One of the most interesting things about society today is we are fighting for so many things and for so many rights for ourselves, and a lot of the times I'm finding that the stronger that somebody is fighting for something, the more they're being just like the people that they're accusing. You know, the more that people are claiming that Jesy Nelson is abusing black culture, cultural appropriation, the more they're abusing black culture. Like, oh, because now you can get support and extra likes because you put BLM in your description. Now you're gonna come for Jesy Nelson. Sounds like you're also kind of benefiting off of the black community in a different way. If that's what Jessy's doing, do you know what I mean? And it's making society very ugly, and it's giving certain groups in society are feeling certain permissions that are just not there. Like, you should not feel the permission to be so hateful to somebody online. You don't know their story. One of the reasons I say to you guys all the time that let's be respectful to people online is because I don't know what these people are going through. Like, I'm not a believer in being horrible to people, because you don't know what they're going through. They might be going through something 10 times worse than you ever could imagine. Right? They might be trying for real, but they're still getting, you know how many people are coming out of places where they lived in negative habits? This is the norm, that you treat people negatively, you treat people badly, you speak to people in a certain way, you're a bully. And so I'm not saying that we have to be out here trying to understand everybody's story. I'm saying let's be respectful and remember, yeah, I'm a human being and I get things wrong. That's why I believe in Christianity myself, because like, yeah, I get things wrong and I'm a human, and so are you, and none of us are better than the other. But I'm going to take accountability for myself. You know, that's what it's really saying. I'm going to take accountability. You know, and that's what I feel like more needs to be happening in society. That's why I even said in one of my other videos that one thing I wish we would do more in society is spend more time trying to understand one another than to be understood. In the case of Jesy Nelson, just get to understand her. Like, she used to listen to this types of music. She's actually got a pretty versatile singing voice. You know, she's grown up around people, the dance culture she's been around. This is what a lot of this is what she knows. Now, the real issue is it contrasts the picture that Hollywood tried to put of her, of making her in this girl pop group, which wasn't really her, and I reckon we're going to be very surprised, is also not going to be really the other girls. And so the issue isn't that all of a sudden Jesy Nelson's culture appropriating and we're all freaking out. It's that, why is this what she's doing now? We have to be open-minded and try to understand. Maybe a big part of the reason that she left is because she couldn't do what she wanted to do. You know, I've said this about how a lot of these groups, they and I can't remember exactly if it was Little Mix, but I feel like it was. But Jesy did write some of the lyrics. Even by the time of Fifth Harmony, like Camila Cabello left Fifth Harmony because she wanted to write her own music. So when we're making all these judgments and we're all the social justice warriors of the hour, we don't know people's stories, and we don't spend the time to actually look into them and to understand, right? We just run off of something. Maybe we run off something our friend said, or we just do the classic, which is honestly, in my opinion, the most pathetic. Like, I'm just going to say whatever's going to get me friends. Because they're never going to be your real friends. You're never going to be able to be your real self around people like that. That's the trick of it. And that's why people get into these little groups as well. We're all going to help Jesy Nelson. A lot of these people, we're all going to hate Jesy Nelson. I bet you some of these people, they don't even know what they would do with their life if they were not hating on Jesy Nelson. That's what I feel like. That's what I think. That's really what I think. And so, like I said, I like parts of this article, fundamentally disagree with a lot of it. Definitely recommend you guys actually check it out, because it's kind of weird for her for Emma to have been so understanding of the situation Jesy was in, and that this is definitely more on the side of bullying than social justice, but then at the same time also be fundamentally against Jesy. But then here's what I said to you guys as well, that's what I'm saying, it should be okay. And I do think that she didn't need to say this music was a dud and tasteless, because I'm not gonna lie, Jessy's been getting views and she's been trending on Twitter. I'm not seeing Little Mix trending on Twitter like that, so, you know, or a lot of people even trending on Twitter. So I don't like that part, but I appreciate that at least she was honest from her perspective, and she acknowledged that we can't just hide, or we can't use social justice as a reason to be horrible to people. That's not an excuse. You're instantly being a hypocrite. As if you're fighting for some type of if you're fighting for some type of social justice, that means you're probably fighting for a group who potentially has had cruel, unkind, unfair things happen to them. How are we going to repay that in society? By doing the same to somebody else. I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, shout out to my girl who sent me this article. You know who you are. You guys know I don't like to give people's names in videos because I say controversial stuff. So in case you ever have to be like, I don't know her, that's why I don't really mention people's names. But do let me know if you guys ever want me to say out. I haven't no shame myself. I just try to be respectful to you guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video. Check out the other Jesy Nelson videos if you want to. Check out my other videos. I got loads of videos. Over 500 videos. Yes, over 500. Who was doing that? Me, apparently. Praise the Lord. Don't forget to hit the like button. Other than that, God bless every single one of you. And I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.